guys, so I'm here with the Audi Q5 2013. I've recently changed the timing chain because my angle was somewhere in the 5.3, 5.8 range, and I really got nervous about it. So the timing chain change I followed very closely to the FCP Euro video that is uploaded here as well. And it gives a really great overview. So the reason why I go in again into my engine is I have a little bit of a vibration, and so this is where I want to just double check that the balance shaft is on time, because that could be that during the reassembly I messed that one up. So we'll see once I'm in there. Alright, let's get to it. So first step, remove the serpentine belt. With a 16, we release tension, and we can slide the belt off. Remove it. So I try to point out here, move it over here. Here's the T10 that we need to loosen. So okay, here it is. It's the tensioner. So time to drain the oil thing, and so we let it drain. Okay, now that the oil is draining, we can remove the oil filter. Okay, next the 3T30. Should be nicely visible here. Alright, and we can open the next one. That allows us to move the dipstick out of the way. So here it's actually not necessary to remove the coolant line here. This is flexible enough, but what we want to do is we want to get the dipstick out. And so the dipstick is just wiggled in on the bottom, so careful that you don't break anything, but it's pretty simple to pull out because it has just this washer, this seal up on top, and it's just stuck in. So this is what it goes into the dipstick hole, and has just this little seal, easy to just pull out with a little bit of wiggle. So now with the dipstick removed, we can now actually pull the magnet out. Should come easily out. Maybe a little bit of oil that runs out, it's normal. Okay, so the upper timing chain cover on mine is held by 5 T30s. And one more. Now that it's loose, you can carefully pull it off, and that exposes the upper timing chain cover. Okay. Okay, now it's time to remove the spark plugs, and it's easy to turn over. Oh, there is already the T30 lost that was up there. Now first we need to remove the tabs. Something like this. They will eventually break. This is really wiggly. Okay, now that we have them loose, we can remove the coil packs. Don't twist them, just pull them out. removed. The deep well spark plugs. See if this was enough. There's the first one. Second one. Third one. And one more. There we go. So now that we have the cylinders open, we can put it on first dead on center. Let's put a long screwdriver in there and then crank it clockwise. Now it comes up. Put it on dead center. I need to check the mark. Okay, now that we have it dead on center, first dead on center, then we can now need to remove the crank pulley, and from there then the lower timing belt cover. So to open the crank pulley, you need to hold back with this special DLP tool, and once you have that set on the crank, I already did this before. Okay, right pulley, screwed it back in with the special washer. And tight that it doesn't fall off. And so this means now that we can take off the lower cover. And these are once again T30s. Depending on model, there are different numbers around. Two more. Okay, so now that we have all the screws out, we need to pry loose the lower cover board. Just don't pry too hard that it's warping anything. It's mostly loose here. I can pull it already off. Too much silicones. Alright, and so here we have it. So as I told you in the beginning, the reason why I opened it up again was because I feel there is a vibration on the engine, and that is an indicator that the balance shaft is not really in time. So nothing that destroys the engine, it's just really something that is annoying. And lo and behold, there is a mistake. So let's go for it. Trying to see if I can go down somewhere here and show you where we are in the different places. So we're dead on center. Well, let me use a different light. Okay, so I have it first cylinder dead on center. We see the timing marks up here. It's no problem that the chain is not there. The chain links are 4 back, but it's the same over here. We are on our, let me see that I can better light here. We see our timing marks here. chain link is again for behind there. And we find the same when we go down here. See if that pulls sharp. And so here we see, so the inner link is the one on the bottom here that we see. So the timing chain is all in sync, all well timed. And now the balance shaft, the balance chain is this on the larger gear. And you see the arrow pointing to the outside. So this is where our chain actually matches at this point, even up here. So if we go then up here, so we want to see the upper gear here. Okay, let me hold it still. So this is the left gear that runs the water pump. And again here we see we are exactly in time. We have the marking on the gear lining up in the 1 o'clock position, basically pointing to this M30 over here. And now we need to go over and look at the balance shaft. Here we see the timing chain on the smaller sprocket. We're not lined up with the link, that doesn't matter, but it's in the right position. And then over here we see the balance shaft chain exactly lined up with the link. And this is at the 7 o'clock position, so this is also correct. So here, that is now the gear on the water pump, and this is also lining up correctly. It has the direction close on probably at 1 o'clock, pointing towards the M30 that is right above there. Okay, and the last thing to check is here on our balance shaft, that it lines up correctly with the dot, and it's at the 2 o'clock position, pointing over here to this Torx, but the actual balance shaft behind there is not lined up correctly. So this lines up correctly every 8 rotation, and so this needs to be fixed. We need to have that gear in the back at the 6 o'clock position, and our marking on the gear with the chain in the 2 o'clock position. So here we have the timing chain very much in our way, and I don't want to remove the cam bridge and maybe leave the timing chain on while I just look at the balance chain and try to move it over. So you see, you cannot get to the guide up here without removing the guides of the timing chain, upper timing chain. And so what we try to do is get out this guide, and maybe that gives us, along with having the tensioner removed, enough wiggle room to get it off those gears, and then adjust these 2 gears to the right position. All right, let's try to do that. For those 2 screws, we need the triple square 10. Slowly in here. Take that one out. Okay, we'll also try to move the guide on the other side, on the tensioner side. We'll do this from below. This is the one that the tensioner closed up. Okay. Now we should have enough slack. So just to confirm, this was the piece that we now took out. That's holding the tensioner. Comes in here. So that gives us enough slack to get into the chain now. Okay, I actually got the chain off now. We're just sliding a little bit of cardboard under there. And so my chain is now loose, hanging in front. And that allows me now to turn over the balance shaft exactly to where I need it. Now let's look at the balance chain, exactly the same. Black link is one behind the mark. Let's go to the other side. First, let's look here. The mark is pointing to the hex, to the T30 here. Black behind one. We need to see the same here on the balance shaft, that the marking here points to the M30 and the balance shaft itself is positioned correctly vertically with the markings. Okay, now we need to get the tensioner back in here. It's a 65 Newton meter torque range, which is roughly 50 foot-pound. So we'll move that in first by hand. And then we'll do. Okay, let's see how we get there. Okay, that's it. So next I put the oil chain already up there. Next thing for us to do is get the oil chain tensioner back on there. Let's see if we can get that in here easily. Okay. Okay, so for the next step, getting the cover with the seal on there without messing everything up and losing and smearing it. I saw this one trick that someone used using 6mm pins just as guides. So if you have 4 of them around, it should be an M6. The only thing we need to do first is, you see, I didn't get the ones that just have the shaft alone. So we need to take off the head, the hex head, and that's what we do. That we have just basically dowels that we can use for sliding it on. So here we go. You see that I just grounded off the hex head. Now we'll have a much better way to move in there. Okay. Now we have 4 nice guides to run our cover over that. So now let's clean our lower cover. Okay, so now that we have it all cleaned, stripped off all the old gasket, time to put in a new one. Oh, shit, I used the wrong holes. That's why. So I put these dowel things, shit, man. my silicone paste now all over into the wrong holes. I only have 8 screws in my cover. So those positions should work much better. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, don't move it. Snap it. And it should be on. Okay, let me wipe that off. Okay, I just had them hand tightened, and so they need to be torqued to 8 Newton meter. That's roughly 70 inch-pound. Okay, so on the second round around, you give them plus 45, just to make sure that they are sitting tight. That should be good. And from here, we open it. Okay. Now, of course, we need to discard the old bolt. Let's double check that we're on center. Okay. Need my new bolt here ready, and we need to get this lined up. This is how it's straight on. Okay, all right. So we torque the one to, oops. So this is a little bit tricky if you do that alone, because you need to hold the spare tool, and you need to have an extension with a breaker bar to add this additional 90 that we need on here. We torqued it first to 150 Newton meter, so roughly 110 foot-pounds. Now we need to give it 45. Okay, now we have it again. And we give it. That's about how much I can do it. Okay, that thing is torqued. Should not come loose anymore. Right. So now with the crank pulley installed, we will put the pulley tensioner in here first. Just hand tighten move the crank pulley out of the way so that we can install the second 10 triple square there. So we can, to be able to put in the second one, we need to move that pulley out of the way. And it dropped again. So bad to see. Maybe let's tighten that one a bit more. Here we go. Let's make this a bit easier. Okay. So this is just 8 Newton meter, not super strong. Over there. Let me move that out of the way. Okay, so now time to put the belt back on. Nothing standing out. That looks good. All right. Okay, so now it's time to install the upper timing chain cover. There's a lot of oil out there. I can still wipe down. This still has the T30s in place. We just need to find the right position. How it goes over there. Okay, let's torque that to 9 Newton meter. All right, that should do it. Okay, next missing is the camshaft, the solenoid. This is the one that goes in with T30, 3 T30s. So actually I was moving too fast here. Need the dipstick. It's on this side. Just checking that this is lubricated and not dirty. And we can wiggle it in. It makes it snaps a bit. Okay, let's give it out again. We need to get under here. Okay, it clicked. It's just before we do this too tight. Let's get all this together. It's still missing. Okay, so let's just inspect it. We didn't create any additional leaks in the flex hoses that we were working around. This is done to connect back there. This looks good. So time to get the carrier back on. The first T30 over here. Is there anything? Okay, a bit to the other side. Seems okay. Nothing here to do. Okay. Moving that back over. Should snap that in place. All right. Let's see if I can get this in here. Yeah, nice and cleaned. Same on this side. Alright. It's this one. Okay. We connected that. We did not connect the hood latch adapter yet. We didn't remove the other part. So this thing snaps on. We get the ball back into the line, and then this gets actually tilted out like this. So to close our hood latch, we clip it back on. You pull the backside out, and then it slides in there. Okay, so this is clipped back and this back on here. So let me quickly try that. So what I forgot to do is to document now was putting spark plugs back in, refilling the oil, adding the air filter, and now we bring back up the bumper. What's easy to forget in between is this extra piece that comes down here on the bottom. There's these brackets that need to be one out, one in, and over here is already broken. So this needs to be in here, and then we'll lift up the bumper. But it basically has these guides where it folds in here. And as long as you unfold the sides of that, you should be good to go in here. Okay, let's see if it's a T30 or a T25. It's actually a 25. Okay, maybe this works now. Here. Alrighty. And with this side.